Hi.
Hello. Happy Mozi.
Yes. Hi guys, this is Akram and welcome back to my channel Akamazing. So it's Mozi, our festival. We are going to attend the function because our lovely friend is performing. She's dancing, so we'll go see her. And this is my outfit. Ja.
Hello.
So luckily the weather is good today. So hopefully everything goes well and the program is a successful. Hey, Jamir Vlogs. Hey.
Tiger hunting.
In the mist-draped hills of northeast India, where the forests are thick and the land echoes with the stories of old, there lived a creature both feared and revered, the Kay. In the Jungli dialect of the Aonagas, this name was given to both tigers and leopards. But when a Kay took the life of a domesticated animal, it was no longer just a beast of the jungle. It became a man-eater, a threat, an enemy. In those days, domesticated animals were left to graze freely around the village. Fences were rare, so when an animal went missing, people knew to expect the worst. If tracks and signs confirmed it was the work of a tiger, the villagers wasted no time. They went straight to the village elders, the custodians of tradition and justice. A council was held quiet and deliberate. The old men did not act in haste. They observed, listened, and kept watch. If more animals disappeared, the conclusion was clear. But even then, the hunt was not announced aloud, for there was a reason for this. Among the villagers, it was believed that a few individuals harbored the spirit of the tiger. These were not evil people, but if they learned of the plan, it might be regions or an invisible link between the kindred spirits. So the hunt was planned in secret, and only a select few were told. At dawn, a team of young men slipped quietly into the jungle, their ears tuned to every whisper of the forest. They looked for prints, round, heavy, and deep, and followed the trail of broken branches and half-eaten remains. When the tiger was found napping after a fresh kill, the signal was sent. The hunt was on. Elders called a gathering of all able-bodied men. Tasks were divided swiftly. A group would go ahead to confirm the exact position of the tiger. Another would begin preparing the trap. With twigs and branches, they formed a large ring around the beast. It was believed that to a tiger, such a ring resembled fire. It would not try to leap over it. Back in the village, the women prepared food and drinks. Rice, meat, and beer made from fermented rice poured into bamboo mugs. The men readied their weapons: nok, sharp machetes, and long spears. Sons stood beside fathers, brothers beside brothers, for in this trial, no man could afford to turn back. Soon, the villagers gathered at the chosen site, deep in the jungle. There, they constructed a massive V-shaped stockade, made from thick bamboo and logs brought in silently from afar. At the point of the V stood a small, unassuming hut, the Shiki. This would become the final cage. Even those who stayed behind in the village had roles to play. Everyone locked their doors. It was believed that an open door could give the tiger a spiritual path of escape. Even guests had to obey. Those who broke the rule were fined, some were beaten. Then the final operation began. The hunting group surrounded the area and slowly pushed inwards. Shouts and drums echoed through the trees. The tiger stirred. Realizing it was trapped, it charged. First one side, then the other. But everywhere it turned, men were ready, spears pointed, shields raised. Driven by instinct, the tiger made one last dash straight toward the Shiki. As it tried to enter, the guard near the hut slammed the shield into place, trapping the beast inside. Then came the kill. One by one, each man drove his spear into the hut. No one withdrew his blade. To do so was dishonor. If any man showed fear or abandoned the hut midway, he was mocked. The women would say, "He is a girl, he should wear a sabati." The traditional skirt worn by settled over the jungle. Then came the rituals. The tail of the dead tiger was propped upright with a stick, his mouth forced open, a wooden rod keeping the tongue hanging out. It was carried back to the village like a fallen enemy king. Along the way, villagers spat at it, cursed it, ridiculed it. It was not a celebration of victory, but a funeral for a menace. At the edge of the village, near the cemetery, was a place called Kay Mataja or Aku Mataja, the final resting place of tigers. There, they laid the body down. But even in death, precautions were taken. The tiger's ear were stuffed with leaves and sealed with the stem of toto, a jungle herb found near rivers. For it was believed that the mate of the tiger would come whisper into the tiger's ears, asking, "Who killed you?" A Kay was considered impure, diseased, and dangerous even in death. It was not an animal, it was an enemy. And so the story of this hunt, like many before it, told by firelight, remembered in silence. Of the young women. Surrounding the fireplace where the eldest lady, whom the young women address as Une, teaches them a song in honor of the victorious hunt. Then the men and the women folk came together for a unity dance celebrating the victorious hunt.